The impact of misinformation or disinformation on the Brexit referendum is a subject of significant debate and analysis. And there are indeed some ways in which misinformation has influenced the referendum. Both sides of the Brexit debate were accused of spreading false or misleading information. Pro-Brexit campaigners were criticized for making exaggerated claims about the amount of money the UK sends to the EU and the potential benefits of leaving. Anti-Brexit campaigners were also accused of fear-mongering and exaggerating the potential negative consequences of leaving the EU. Welcome to reality now. Social media played a significant role in spreading misinformation during the Brexit campaign, and false stories, memes, and misleading information were widely shared on platforms like Facebook and Twitter, today X, often reaching large audiences before they could be fact-checked. And there were allegations of foreign interference in the Brexit referendum, particularly from Russia. There were reports of Russian-backed social media accounts spreading divisive messages and false information to influence public opinion. And there were instances where data was manipulated or misrepresented to support certain narratives. For example, the infamous claim on the side of a bus that the UK sends £350 million per week to the EU that was widely criticized as misleading. And many people tended to consume news and information that aligned with their existing beliefs, leading to the formation of echo chambers where misinformation could spread unchecked. The absence of effective regulation of political advertising and campaigning allowed misleading claims to be disseminated without adequate scrutiny. It's of course important to note that while misinformation played quite a role in shaping public opinion during the Brexit referendum, it's still difficult to quantify its exact impact. The reasons for the outcome of the referendum are complex and multifaceted, involving a combination of factors such as economic concerns, immigration, sovereignty, and dissatisfaction with the status quo. But a lot of disinformation was there, and disinformation is poison for democracies and weakens social cohesion. That was also said by EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell in his speech at the end of January. And this is a particularly critical year, as a good 60 elections will be held worldwide in 2024, and this also includes the European elections on June 9th. The European Parliament is calling for a coordinated strategy to be better prepared against foreign interference and attempts at manipulation. The examples of disinformation campaigns are increasing. The US election in 2016, Brexit, the corona pandemic, or the war in Ukraine. Disinformation is false or misleading content that is spread with a specific intent of causing public harm. Misinformation also contains incorrect content, but was spread without any harmful intentions. Disinformation is, so to speak, intentional misinformation. To take action against this, the EU launched the EU versus Disinfo project in 2015. The main task of the European External Action Service working unit is to uncover and document Russian disinformation campaigns. Information manipulation by foreign actors is not a new phenomenon, though. However, their prevalence and impact are increasing, especially since Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. Particularly at times of crises or elections, disinformation is deliberately spread by state and non-state actors, not always with the intention of strengthening a particular political party, but primarily with the intention of causing confusion and increasing polarization in society. The 2024 election year has just begun, and we have already seen numerous cases of disinformation in countries where elections have already taken place. For example, China's attempts to manipulate the elections in Taiwan. That was said by Raquel Miguel Serrano. He researches the influence of foreign actors at the non-governmental organization EU Disinfo Lab. It is therefore quite likely that there will also be attempts at manipulation and disinformation campaigns in the European elections. But it's not just MEPs in Brussels who are confronted with misinformation. More than 1 in 2 people come across politically motivated disinformation on the internet, at least occasionally. This was the result of a German Forsa survey from 2023, which was carried out on behalf of the North Rhine-Westphalian Media Authority. 85% of internet users surveyed said that this disinformation could endanger democracy. Although this incorrect content is detected more frequently, it is reported less and less often. While in 21 a good half of 14 to 24-year-olds reported a false message or its author to the corresponding platform, in 23 the figure was only 36%. And in return, young internet users compare news more often with other information on the internet. Among the 45 to 59-year-olds, the willingness to check information and sources on the internet and to take action against false content increased between 21 and 23. But overall, significantly fewer respondents said they initially believed misinformation to be true and then shared it. This indicates a growing public awareness of the danger of disinformation. The key players when it comes to election manipulation and disinformation are Russia and China. According to the report of the Special Committee on Foreign Influence on all democratic processes in the European Union, not only member states are a potential target, but also countries that would like to join the EU, for example, the Western Balkan states. The EU's second annual disinformation report documented 750 cases of targeted disinformation campaigns and manipulation attempts by foreign actors in 23. The most common destination country was Ukraine with 160 cases, followed by the USA with 58 documented events. 31 disinformation campaigns were counted in Germany. In addition to countries and their governments, organizations and individuals can also fall victim to attempts at manipulation. The EU is most often the target here with 19% of cases, followed by NATO with 15%, but media companies such as Reuters and the New York Times are also included. Furthermore, MEPs are calling for a ban on TikTok at government levels in all member states and in the EU institutions. And Serrano from the EU Disinfo Lab is critical of such bans. Bans like TikTok's are generally not very useful, as they can lead to a lack of understanding and a feeling of censorship. But these platforms can be countered with regulations such as the law that recently came into force for digital services. The EU Digital Services Act obliges particularly large online platforms and search engines such as Google and Facebook to take more consistent action against misinformation and hate speech. Since February, smaller platforms have also been obliged to take action against illegal content. The Digital Services Act is intended to protect internet users, among other things, through greater transparency and concrete contact points for complaints and violations. In the future, the EU will have to invest more and more time and resources in combating disinformation. With a view to elections, says Serrano, it's important to first use the existing instruments. At the same time, it is important to further sensitize citizens to the dangers of disinformation. Initiatives to improve media literacy, for example, can be useful here. But also, it will be questionable how well those platforms will take care of the Digital Services Act. When I look at Facebook's customer service, for example, that is completely submerged level, to be honest. My longtime viewers will remember the Russian hacker attack on my channels and my accounts. And especially thank you to Google for the good assistance here for recovering everything. And not only Google, but also Google, but Twitter and everything. Facebook is still not answering anything until today. So that's why, because of the hackers, they banned me, and I'm not trying to get in contact with them anymore. I will anyway stay away from Facebook. Facebook is not that important anymore as it was in the past, as we all know, but they are even not able to deal with situations like that. So I'm really looking forward to what's going on in those campaigns and in their dealing with the EU. Their customer support is absolutely the worst I've ever seen. Nevertheless, if you want to see something else, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.